Hi, I'm Lini. Hero guides are updated again for the 377th time with 2063 changes, one of the largest changes of all time for the guides. For the past few weeks, I've been hustling 16-hour days from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., pushing out changes, so please forgive me if there are any errors. And yes, I am still rewriting all the tooltips. Anyways, let's check in on the meta weather for the top safe lane position 1 carry heroes to play so far in patch 7.36b. As a position 1 carry, Weaver is top of the board right now because he's so reliable at all stages of the game. His early game is both aggressive and straightforward now that Gemini Attack is an innate ability, giving him great last hitting coverage. Having that free Gemini Attack frees up his initial skill points from level 1 to 3, allowing him to be more aggressive in the laning stage and dish out massive damage with Shikuchi and the Swarm with the right support like Vengeful Spirit, Clockwork, or Jakiro. Combined with his facet Skitter Step, which increases the movement speed of his Shikuchi by 50 and slows opponents momentarily when hit, means that Weaver and his support flip the script on offlaners, making them more likely to be on the back foot early on, rather than putting the pressure on Weaver. Weaver as a carry treads a perfect line between being a hero with a lot of survivability and damage output. Time Lapse essentially doubles his health if he manages to pull it off, while Shikuchi gives him the repositioning power we would associate with someone like Kling's and his Skeleton Walk. Combine that with Weaver's incredible damage from Gemini Attack and you perform well at all periods of the game. With Maelstrom still relatively cheap from the previous patches and giving attack speed, this enables Weaver to farm very quickly with twice the chance of Chain Lightning to occur thanks to Gemini Attack, but also the reliance on Shikuchi to quickly move between jungle camps. We typically see Weaver build Glipnir as his first major item because it can be gotten fairly quickly around 14 minutes, which gives Weaver early timing to come online before building items like Black King Bar if need be, and Daedalus as his finisher. In terms of guide changes, I added a facet suggestion in the title for the hero and rearranged Weaver's late game items to recommend Daedalus, Agshard, Butterfly, and Eye of Skadi. P.S. If you love these guides, these videos, or sound of my voice for some strange and unapparent reason, please subscribe and let me know in the comments. Lifestealer still remains an incredible hero since 7.35 and here again now in 7.36. Though his new facet Corpse Eater comes across kinda dull, it actually is really nice since Lifestealer does have one of the lowest strength gains for a strength hero, only 2.4. This means that the reliance on finding other ways to grow your health is alleviated since he now has Corpse Eater. What's really nice is that his innate ability is still there to give him sustain and damage output against other high health enemies like Centaur, Axe, or Dragonite. But Feast comes with another enhancement. Lifestealer can now start denying allied creeps at 75%, and that's something so unprecedented and is a massive influence on the lane equilibrium, where you can start weakening your lane creeps to help ensure that the lane always stays near your tower and thus safety for you. Another way of saying it is that the enemy offlaners will be far from the tower, meaning you can target them down with your support for some early game kills. In short, the laning stage for Lifestealer was already strong thanks to Feast, giving him constant sustain, and now he's in even more control of the lane, its outcome, and gives him a jump start with reaching his large items. Don't forget that they swapped out Ghoul Frenzy with a net positive change. Although you no longer slow enemies on attack with Ghoul Frenzy, instead you get additional movement speed that is a bonus percentage of your current movement. So activating something like Phase Boots gives an even larger boost of movement to close the gap on enemies, or when you need to jump around different jungle camps post laning stage to farm even more efficiently. As for your slow, your old Agshard ability Open Wounds is now a core ability. It now gives you a 50% slow at level 1, so an early level in that is massive value for Lifestealer in the laning stage when trying to jump on an offlaner. Most of Lifestealer's endgame item build hasn't really changed. He still opts for Sanj and Yasha for the movement speed, lifesteal amplification, and status resistance, as well as Radiance and Ag Scepter for extra longevity and output during fights. The hero is a rock in team fights and a menace throughout all stages of the game, but now his new Ag Shard combos well with his Ag Scepter and keeps Lifestealer consistently in play. In terms of guide changes, I added a facet suggestion in the title for the hero, and I adjusted his skill build to max out Ghoul Frenzy and grabbed a point in Rage and Open Wounds before level 6. I swapped in his new level 15 Ghoul Frenzy attack speed and rewrote some tooltips for Open Wounds, Rage, Ghoul Frenzy, and his Ag's Shard. Not much has changed for Ursa in 7.36, but the addition to his innate ability has turned him into an early game comfort pick, and his facet, Grudge Bearer, makes his late game all the more scary. For starters, Maul gives you additional damage based on your current health, So with just your starting items, you gain 11 more damage to help with last hitting. That's almost your first level Inferi swipes, which by the way is practically doubled from this additional damage, so Ursa can be pretty scary early on, with the right setup at level 2 when he skills Earth Shock. Late game, the items that Ursa typically buys like Abyssal Blade and Black King Bar give him 10 more additional damage from Maul. Now, as far as his facet, Grudge Bearer, this is more about late game where his Enrage doesn't just become a way of being able to shake off debuffs, but also to capitalize on his time when he's using Enrage to outlast his opponents. Previously, Ursa became a walking duck where he'd get kited and crowd controlled, and it meant you had to sacrifice key offensive items for defensive item choices like Black King Bar, Ag Scepter, Ag Shard, etc. Now with Grudge Bearer, those defensive items have an offensive aspect to turn the damage back on enemies. This effectively makes him a late game player, and not just about being able to survive chain stuns, but also about being able to follow through after you've successfully survived the debuff onslaught. This facet also brings Octarine Core to the forefront, as it gives Ursa more Enrage opportunities with his Ag Shards upgraded Earth Shock and Enrage, especially so at level 25 where he grabs a talent that gives him 2 charges of Earth Shock. All in all, while Ursa may have had some early game challenges and late game difficulty in keeping up with other carries, these have been effectively resolved with his new innate ability and facet. Chaos Knight fell to the white side last patch as a lot of popular rivaling carries just had no problem taking the illusions out. Heroes like Luna, Sven, Lifestealer, who's still around with Radiance and Ag Scepter, just made it impossible for Chaos Knight to show up. In 7.36, the hero's innate ability and facet has given him not only an even faster way to farm up his core items, but also a lot of survivability into the mid and late game. Everything about Chaos Knight is still there. He still has a very safe laning stage because of how common Chaos Knight occurs, thus high lifesteal and critical strike, and he only needs a few items to get online. Armlet, Blink Dagger, and then eventually an Orchid, Manta Style, even Assault Cuirass is an option. But now with his innate ability, post laning stage, when Chaos Knight grabs his ultimate ability, Phantasm, he has a chance to summon another illusion, which can then be used to push lanes, farm jungles even more quickly, and this innate ability works with all illusion making sources like Manta Style or Shadow Demon's Disruption if you want a support pick to go along with Chaos Knight. Now on top of that, Chaos Knight's facet, Phantasmagoria, turns all his illusions into strong illusions, so these illusions can't be wiped out so easily or quickly by, let's say, a Dazzle's Ag Shard Hex or Lion's Mana Drain like Naga Siren's or Terrablade's illusion would be destroyed normally. This Phantasmagoria works even on Manta Style or Shadow Demon's Disruption illusions. And to add, these illusions also have a 20% damage reduction as long as they are near Chaos Knight, which honestly they usually are unless you're pushing waves with your illusions to farm quickly. This makes Chaos Knight the definitive illusion-based hero out of all of them, especially with Terrorblade honestly feeling kind of directionless this patch. In terms of guide changes, I changed up all of Chaos Knight's talents at 15, 20, and 25. I made Orchid and Manta Style core items for him, while moving Black King Bar and Silver Edge as potential extension item choices. Templar Assassin continues to be among the best position 1 hard carries this patch, but she's been toned down a bit in 7.36b. Previously, I spoke how TA has had her laning stage reduced in difficulty thanks to her side blades now becoming an innate ability. This means that you can actually start with a level in refraction to help with last hits right from the get-go. I also mentioned how you can actually start maxing out refraction first for the extra damage, as side blades without any levels in it comes with spill damage, and that essentially means that bonus damage from refraction and items like Desolator compensate for these new side blade scalings, where the damage from side blade spills over now starting at 80%. Also, her facet Refractor is still good, where any harassment she takes that breaks her refraction barrier converts to a refraction damage instant. So at max level, instead of 5 instances of damage and health barrier, you can now have 5 health barrier instances, and assuming you take any damage to break those health barriers, up to 5 more damage refraction instances. So in terms of guide changes, I reworked her skill build for the reasons I just talked about, and gave her a change in her early game itemization to have a bit more mana regeneration, like with a Null Talisman, since she'll be reusing refraction and meld a lot more during the laning stage. I also rewrote the tooltips for refraction and side blades given how slightly different she is played. I also wrote a facet suggestion in the title for the hero. Alright, that's it for me. I'm Lini. Stay tuned this week and more for more top 5s for off lane, mid lane support, and more. Also, I'm on Twitch, continuing to test all your favorite builds every day. Hero build changes are not final and will be evolving as the meta develops. Check in game for the latest versions, and don't forget to support me by subscribing, liking, giving me money, all that shit. Bye.